All right.
All right.
Well, we got ditched by Kyle.
As usual, what a flake. But
So
you
you
know
got
what? To be honest with you, Summer, me and you're the only one who made the playoffs as commissioner, so he shouldn't be here anyway. He's not worthy of our presence right now in this first year. It's me and you as commissioners starting this league and leading the way to top three seeds. And I think you're going to be a top three seed. We'll look at this here in a minute, but yeah, you know,
I have held on to my number 3/number 4 spot in the league since about week 4.
right. Yes, you have.
I so I feel like I deserve it. I didn't luck into it like you said I did, but
No, you didn't. You know why you didn't? And you mentioned this about 6 or 7 weeks ago. You got the trading bug, and it's worked out for you. Your team starting out in the year would be right next to Kyle's, but you made moves with me and I think maybe Omar and a couple other people, and your starting lineup is solid as fuck, bro. Like you got, dude. I was not a believer in Rashad White. I'm just going to say, I know you got topics and you'll leave, but I'm super impressed with Rashad White. I did give you Keenan Allen, who's the number 2 or number 3 in the league. I gave you DJ Moore. I didn't give you. We traded. You made some moves
that's
with.
what I was about to say. I'm like, none of
Yeah,
that
yeah.
shit.
You didn't give me any trade. Jordan Love. Jordan Love. Now, come on, Jordan Love. Hey. I should have tried to snipe his ass from you about a month ago. It's too late now. He's playing like fucking a baller. Puka Nakua. Go ahead and say Puka Nakua for me one time.
Puka Nakua, and
No,
I
you just said
drafted
draw.
him.
No, I know you
Huh?
drafted
Oh, the
him.
drop Puka Nakua.
There it is. So I mean, Josh Downs. I know you. A lot of those guys. Didn't you have Tank Dell and you traded him away?
No, I didn't have Tank, but I did draft Josh Downs and I drafted Puka Nakua.
Yeah, you did. You did. I was. I mean, the rookie guys like that. Your strategy and what you've done this year has given me more. A carte blanche, whatever you want to call it, to like get the younger guys because not only can they pop, but they show promise and they move forward, which is why I gave up Debo and Monty for Jonathan Mingo. I didn't know it was James Cook's a second round pick because you can see it, you can get it, and those guys will be there for you for a long time unless you don't move them or whatever. But your strategy after the first month, what you drafted, and then where I see your team has ended up now has also inspired me. So I just wanted to give you your flowers.
Well, I am not trying to like inspire you to make more trades because I think you do enough on your own. I've still got some stuff that I'm waiting to see play out. So I traded away Ford. I got Gus Edwards, who did a couple, like won a couple weeks for me, and I got Mims out of that deal, and he's going to sit on my bench. I had no intention of starting him this year. I'm hoping next year he pans out. It was a kind of a shot in the dark, but I think he's got promise. What was
I,
that? That was Kyle's rookie riser, right? At the beginning of the year. Kyle
Marvin Mims
Kyle
from,
picked
yeah,
Marvin Mims.
yeah,
Got a
from
bunch of what did I get? FA free agent budget from Mark. And that, well, I thought I wasn't going to be able to spend it all, but I was like, well, after the trade deadline, the only thing you've got going for you is free agent budget. But then I ended up dropping it on Carson Wentz, which I didn't end up needing him. But if Matthew Stafford goes down with injury, I mean, it's going to matter. And then who's gosh, what's his freaking name? Um, Cincinnati Bengals, who's their starting quarterback now with
Jake
Joe
Browning.
Burrow out,
Jake
sitting
Browning.
on Jake Browning. I actually, what's funny though is I picked him up. If you look at the history, I picked him up, dropped him, picked him, and then had to spend money on him to get him back
I've done that
because
times in leagues. Don't even worry about it. I've done that in our NSR league a bunch of times. I drop a guy after I've spent 15, 20 fab on him and then pick him up again, another 15, 20 fab. Like that happens. So I know exactly the scenario you're talking about.
that sucked. All right. So I've got a question for you. So already right now, I think Omar mentioned it in the chat earlier this week. We've got 6 teams locked in on the playoffs. This week is There's nothing going on but seeding. You and Omar already have locked in the buys.
Yep.
The only thing that can happen this week, and this is me I'm trying to figure out how sleeper works. I'm not 100% sure. Potentially the matchups between the other 4 teams might switch up. As it is right now, it's going to be Jacob and Gilbert playing against each other, and the winner playing Omar. And then me and Big Mike playing against each other, and the winner playing you, which I'm so sorry. Like, I know you're super excited about making it to the championships, but fuck that.
You know what? I was looking at it, and let's play the scenario as if it plays out just the way you laid it out. I think I'm going to play you in week 15, and I think I'm going to lose.
I have more points than you overall.
You don't have
more
to
average.
I already know, Summer. I already know. God damn it! I already know. You've scored more points than me this year, and your starting lineup, your starters that you have right now, and look, if no one gets hurt this week, if no one gets hurt
On either team, like on anything,
or for me, then that could change. But as it sits right now, if you roll out Herbert, Mixon, Rashad White, Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, if you roll out that team, I 100% could lose. And the way karma in this season has worked, I'm kind of expecting it. So if it stays the seeding that you just laid out, I would rather play Big Mike. I would rather play, well, I won't say that. Gilbert, that side of the bracket is going to be tough. You and I, if it stays the same way, are on the good side of the bracket, in my opinion. Because Gilbert and Jacob and Omar's side, that is a tough bracket. It's really, really tough.
I think it was tougher last week until Lawrence went out with injury. So I know that kind of transitions into like later, but I will say this. Mad respect for Big Mike, because Joe Brown did not set him up for success. Big Mike came in, took that team, did some trades, did some pickups, did whatever. The fact that he's in the playoffs is astounding to me.
I 100% agree. The Cuban Hulk is doing work, and I'm glad Omar, talked to him about coming in and taking over Joe's team. Obviously, I love trading. Everyone knows that, but he's got me on a cut with that kid, that motherfucker Monty and Debo, like for guys that he's not starting. So,
you're trying to take all the credit. The credit is not yours. All I'm saying is, like,
I'm just saying
he had absolutely no place being in a winning position this year. I am.
Neither
impressed.
did you at the start of the year. Neither did
Bullshit.
you. Your team was trash when we drafted.
No, my team was trash based off of your expectations. There were people on my team that people did not think were going to perform that did. And then I got to trade them away for value.
You never performed. You didn't even know who the was when we drafted. You didn't even know all these fucking drafted.
I did my research. I knew who I wanted. I got them when I wanted it. And I traded with you in the draft to get Jerome Ford. And then I used him to get other things that I wanted. I'm just saying, I realized that you might not have valued my roster the same, but I was really happy with my roster at the end of the draft.
You had players. It was
in other leagues, no, but
yeah.
All right. So, predictions next week. So this week aside, let's just assume that the seeding stays the same, and you've got Jacob, Gilbert, myself, and Big Mike. What are your picks for next week?
Well, I've already kind of alluded to it with your game. I do think you're going to beat Big Mike. Okay, so that I've looked at that matchup up and down. If it stays there, I think you're going to get Big Mike. So that part I will say. The other one would be the game of the week for me. That's the one that I'm not sure about. Gilbert has a really good team. He got rid of one of his 4 or 5 quarterbacks to get Jalen Waddle, which really balanced his team out. Dak is damn it, Dak is
MVP. The number one in the QB index.
I should have never brought it up. But I'm also looking at, Michael Pittman. We'll see with Cooper Kupp. That's what's going to hurt him. But he's got guys that, as a starting lineup, can win. However, I'm still going to go with Jacob. I'm going to go with Jacob, even with he only has Tommy DeVito as his one quarterback that he can play. Even though I know Gilbert's going to have Kyler coming back off a bye, so he can do that. And he's got, I mean, Gilbert did what? Pacheco, Romeo Dobbs, George Kittle at tight end, who's up and down or whatever. But I really want to see. I like Jacobs' running backs and wide receivers as a starter. I know he's not going to be there with the quarterback part, but I still think Jacob squeaks out a win versus Gilbert, very narrowly margin. But I think that you might actually handle Big Mike pretty well, like just beat him by 15, 20 points or something like that. So
I don't consider in this league, considering the depth of the roster, 10 points is not a whooping.
yeah, I guess
10,
that's
15 points. It can swing either way. So here's my thing with the Jacob Gilbert matchup. Tommy DeVito is playing against the Packers.
We're playing
Middle of the pack, no pun intended. Defense against the pass.
Okay. Yeah, they're 14th right now. Going after this game or going into the game, the Packers are ranked 14th against or at least against quarterbacks.
No, they're 18th against the pass.
Okay.
Against the pass.
Gotcha.
And then 14th against the run, and then you got Saquon Barkley. So it could literally go either way. You got Tommy DeVito in there. He had his rookie first game luck or first couple game, whatever, or it could either way. That's a shot in the dark. I hate shot in the darks in fantasy because for some fucking reason that nobody can understand, in the championship games and in the playoffs, they work. I hate it. It's not fair. It's not fair for all the good, honest people, the good, honest team managers doing their part to come and get their ass whooped by Tommy fucking DeVito in the playoffs.
Do you know how many times that shit has happened to me? Like, that's what I mean, at 16 years of playing fantasy football, you can do everything you can to literally have the advantage and best roster possible going into the playoffs. And all it takes is one fucking week for your team to shit the bed on some fucking fluke shit. And then a bunch of nobodies fucking ruin your last 4-6 months. Like, and that's what makes the bye so important. You need, out of 3 games, you need to just not have to play one and only win 2 games to win the championship. I learned that about 6 or 7 years ago. I used to have a strategy where I would just I would trade people for like big name players that were injured and they needed a win to get in the playoffs. And then when those players that would be injured, that would be good, be playing in the playoffs, it never worked out for me. Like, it never worked out for me when I tried to hey, I would go in as an 8-6 team as opposed to getting the bye thinking, oh, I'm going to have all these great players that are coming off of injury. It doesn't work that way. Kyle actually talked to me about this a couple of years ago about, you don't necessarily need to win with like top 5 players. You need a bunch of like depth and the people that you can plug and play for injuries or trade up or whatever. So long story short, again, that's who I got. I got you winning against Big Mike, and then I go back and forth. Gilbert, if you're watching this, I really like your team. I really, really like your team. You've done very well for yourself. I think Jacob's going to get you, dude. I'm like, Jacob's got Jamar Gibbs. He's got CeeDee Lamb right now. Like, they are playing so well. And so I just think Jacob's going to get you. So, we can look at this next week, like you said, and see how everything shakes out and then make some amended predictions. But that's who I've got. Who do you have?
No, so actually I don't like going second because that's exactly who I have. And I hate picking myself. I'm very pragmatic. I'm not going to do that. It's kind of like every time that the NFL rankings come out or like the picks for the games come out and there's like the Cowboys, everybody picks the Cowboys. I'm like, oh, we're fucked. Every single time that it's a unanimous decision that the Cowboys are going to win, we lose, and that's what's happening this week in a bunch of polls, and all the experts are picking the Cowboys, so we're fucked. Like, I hate it. But I am gonna pick myself. I think I'm gonna beat Big Mike. I'm fairly comfortable with it. I'm just gonna set my lineup and ignore it because the stress is gonna destroy
That,
me. But
that is
and
the
then
strategy.
I am going with Jacob in spite of his weird mashed up lineup and injuries and stuff. And I think so like he's got Etienne, right?
Yeah, he does. He
Who
has Travis Etienne.
Yeah,
Like you said,
last week Etienne was questionable. He played anyways. He balled out. And
yeah,
then this week he's still questionable. Assuming that he's still recovering from the same injury. I haven't seen anything different. He's just, just extra rest going limited.
dude, it's
Uh,
Dalton Kincaid. It's Kyron Williams. He's got Evan Ingram. Thielen, I'm not a huge fan of. He's going down a little bit, but I mean, Jacob's got some guys. Even in the bench. If Damian Pierce gets back, Jamison Williams. Terry McLaurin's on bye, but he'll have him coming back. If Cooper is hurt or whoever Nakua, Cooper Puka, he's got Tutu Atwell, and Matt Stafford is playing really well right now. Jacob's got guys that can make up for only having Tommy DeVito. Now, if Tommy DeVito goes down and we all collectively block Jacob from getting Mason Rudolph, who may start next week because Mitchell Trubisky is bad, he's going to be in a big trouble spot because he won't have a quarterback.
You do realize that what you're talking about is the definition of collusion.
What?
It doesn't have to be between just commissioners, but if you sit there and all plan to do something versus another team, that is the definition of collusion.
They don't have to do it. That's not collusion. That is not the definition of collusion. I could tell anybody to go pick up anyone to fuck you out of whatever, or myself, or anyone. That's not collusion.
I
Collusion
mean,
is
it
like,
is if everybody actually does it. That's
giving
considered
what we're
collusion.
doing here right now is giving people information they didn't have before. This podcast is giving people information and thoughts on our process that they may not have thought about before. Collusion is if I say, Summer, or no, what you and Mark were doing, hey, Mark, you're going to get some this, and Summer's going to make a trade with. That's collusion. You get this for that, or I give you 10% of my winnings if you trade me whatever. That's collusion. But if you give your thoughts and opinions, trade advice, that is not collusion. So let's get that out the way right now, Renfro.
Okay. All right. Now, I just noted down Dante hates Jacob. That's all I heard. That's all I heard.
Yeah, I hate him in fantasy because he beats me all the time. So there's that. All right.
All right. So I know that I asked you like who you thought would win. Do you like who's the team out of all of the teams, including you and Omar, who's in trouble? Like who's potentially in trouble based off of this week, injuries, your strength of schedule for the last couple weeks through the playoffs?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. So who's in trouble? And I'm assuming you're thinking about the six players.
The six, yeah.
So, well, that's a good question. If I had to pick a team that's in trouble, because me and Omar are going to have the bye, me and Omar are only going to play the winners of your game with Big Mike and then, Gilbert's game or whatever. I think I'm in trouble. I just said, if I play you week 16, I'm in trouble. I've looked at it and I'm in trouble there. But if we want to just go with the first round.
No, full playoffs. Who's the one that's in trouble? Most at risk.
In my opinion, Omar has a great squad. I think he has the best team in the league. Okay, no matter what, top to bottom, he's got the best squad this year. Okay, to win this year. Now in Dynasty, Gilbert and other people have better teams in my opinion because Omar's got like 5 or 6 guys that are 30 or whatever. But if it to me, it's me, especially somebody that has a bye. I could be one and done. I really feel like that, and so to me that's who's in trouble. Me. And it'll hurt worse if I get the bye and I'm one and done. If anybody else loses, it's not the same. Hey, and I'm not saying you or Gilbert squeaked into the playoffs, but or Jacob, who already had preseason kind of going this far. No one had Big Mike going this far, so I feel like he kind of won. If Big Mike gets to the championship game and he's in the money, that is a win. Even if he loses the championship game, that's a win. You have been consistent, top 4, top 5, top 3, the whole year in points and everything else. So, looking at all those kinds of things, he's kind of just going up and to the right. Gilbert has been steady. He started slow, but then he didn't really make a whole lot of moves. He made a few moves, and then he just let his team develop. Gilbert's in a great position. But with all the shit that I did, and I don't fucking get to the championship game, that's great. And I don't think I will. If you go to the Final Four, if it's me, you, and how I predicted Jacob against Omar, Jacob and Omar, I expect Omar to win, but if Jacob wins, I won't be surprised. Between me and you, starting lineup, be damned. I should win, but I think you can and you will. To answer your question bluntly,
whether I will or not, I feel like the most competitive matchup will be, there's 2 really competitive matchups in the next 2 weeks. It's going to be Jacob and Gilbert this next week. It's going to be neck and neck in my mind.
Right. I agree.
I'm not dissing Big Mike, but I don't think that our matchup will be as competitive. If it will, fine, all the
Big
fun.
Mike, did you hear this? Big Mike, take notes. Big Mike, and you know what? You can't trade. You can't do anything about
second week of the playoffs, the most competitive matchup will be the winner of me and Big Mike versus you. It won't be Omar. So here's my thing. Omar, I don't any matchup where Omar is playing, I don't see as competitive. He hands down has the strongest roster. I don't see it as a competitive matchup unless he just goes shit out of luck. Injuries, people don't show up. You got teams playing that are locked into their spots in the playoffs and they start resting players. I don't see if he's been playing the way that he is now, him having a competitive matchup up against anybody.
I agree. Even me or you or whoever makes it to the championship game, Omar by and far away. And the reason is he's got some Austin Eckler, Jamar Chase. He's got Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill is like this year is having a Randy Moss 2000 and whatever it was, 18 or 13 type year. Tyreek Hill is killing it, and he's got running back depth. CJ Stroud is a top 5 guy, even though I know he lost Tank Dell. Dude, Omar's team is built to win this year, hands down. And you look at it from the projections. If you see what Omar's team is projected to do each week, it's him first, and then it's me, and then it's you, and then it's Gilbert, Mike, whoever, depending on matchups. But me, you, and Omar, projection-wise, are the highest projected teams most weeks. But not Gilbert, but Omar is projected more than anybody all the time. The guy,
by like 20 points. So yeah. I don't see that as being any competitive matchup. I think he's got this league. I think if he loses, it's going to be shit luck.
It'll be a surprise.
Shit going down.
4 or 5 guys less than 10 points when they normally average 20. You know what I mean? Like, it'll be a thing where Tyreek has to tweak something and sit out for 2 quarters or some shit. Like, he's got a fucking stacked prime roster. Like, a lot of people in their prime are just off of it. And you know what? That also tells you in a 2 QB Superflex league, because Omar didn't even prioritize QBs. He just prioritized running backs and wide receivers. He made trades for Hunter Henry, who just scored 2 touchdowns. He's got Kyle Pitts now. He's got Chig Okonkwo. So he's ready. Omar, if you lose this year, I am going to razz your ass all offseason. It would be a damn coaching mistake. Or if there's some rash of injuries or whatever. But as long as Omar is semi-healthy and he sets good lineup decisions, there's no reason that he doesn't win this year.
Oh, so you're actually talking about something that really bothers me. So every week you've got your your report, right?
Oh, the
About
report that comes out.
lineup efficiency and blah, 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 blah. So what's funny to me is that they rank people based off of their efficiency in setting their lineup. And you've got these folks at the top who, of course, they're efficient because the only players that they have on their roster that are worth starting are, of course, in their starting lineup. There's no, oh, what decision am I going to make? Am I going to start, Rashad White or Aaron Jones, or am I going to whatever it is, because their bench suck.
So
So then they get rated really high in efficiency because they absolutely have no choice.
You are
Zero choices to make.
You're making a really great point. There's only 3 or 4 teams in this league that have 3 or 4 bench players that they could play on in front of whoever they're starting. I have the deepest team in the league. And I've been going through this the last
and you are terrible at it, by the way.
I am bad at it. I always overthink it. I overtinker. I overdo this and I overdo that. But there's only like 2 or 3 guys on my bench that are non-startable. And then when your injuries come back and they're healthy.
I think Omar is the same way. So that's my problem, is my saving grace is that I have, for the most part, been very efficient in my lineup decisions, even though I've got 3 or 4 wide receivers. I'm pretty deep on mediocre wide receivers. Picking the one that's going to score the most and being pretty efficient at it based off matchups. You and Omar, it's literally a crapshoot because your roster is so deep. So I find
it's a juggling act.
Disgusting pleasure in watching your guys' bench score rack up. And I'm like, haha.
You know what? You're absolutely right. And I'm starting to learn now. And I kind of, this was on purpose for me. So halfway through the year, I had some of those heavy hitters that Omar had, but I turned one good guy like Keenan Allen into 2 good guys because the injuries this year have been crazy, and they're always crazy. But the quarterbacks, all that other shit. And it's just like when a deep dynasty league with deep benches, I want to get to the playoffs. If I get a bye, great. But I just want to get to the playoffs. But what I want to try to do next year and in future seasons with a team like this is try to consolidate and get heavy hitters, because you're going to need those to win the championship. You need at least 3 or 4 guys that can pop up and get you 40 points. And Omar has that. I don't. You don't. No one else has 4 or maybe even 5 guys that can get you a 40 burger in the playoffs. Even though your bench is thinner, if they're healthy and they're there, you're going to win. And so it's a juggling act. And then, it is a dynasty. So people think, oh, okay, we're going to, and then somebody like me and Omar, we don't have any pick, or me and Chris, we don't have any picks for the next 2 years. 0 picks. Omar's got like maybe 1 or a couple. Other guys like TJ and Mark has 5 first rounders. 5.
Okay. First of all, you're going to have some because between the championship game and the draft, everybody's going to get bored. You're going to be fine. You're going to talk your way into some picks.
Summer, you're giving away my plan. Don't give it away. Yes, I'm going to sell George Pickens and T. Higgins and James Cook for a pick or 2 before the draft. How can I not be in the draft?
Those are not your cash value players on your team. Okay. Hey, I have one last question before we wrap up. You took Aaron Rodgers from me, and you've got Garrett Wilson. Yes or no? You got 3 seconds to answer. Do you think Aaron Rodgers will be in your starting lineup at any point between now and the championship game?
No.
Oh, man.
He won't. I've got Brock Purdy, Joe Burrow, and Lamar Jackson.
I was kind of hoping you would say yes and reinforce my belief that you are terrible at picking your starting lineup. So here is what I expect for Aaron Rodgers.
You think Aaron Rodgers is start over Brock Purdy, Joe Burrow, or Lamar Jackson?
So Aaron Rodgers right now, I think the Jets still have a chance, right? They're not completely eliminated from the playoffs, or they are.
I mean,
Hang
what
on.
does it have to do with Aaron
I'm
Rodgers?
not 100% sure, but let's assume that they are not. I think they're one game out of being they're one game out of being completely eliminated. If they are in playoff contention after this week and Aaron Rodgers starts,
Nope.
he is going to be injured within the first 3 minutes of the game. And I will be vindicated for giving him away so cheap because I kind of did. I was desperate.
I don't
That
think
was
he gave
early in the season, and I lost
Summer.
J.K. Dobbins and Aaron Rodgers in the same week.
Summer. You want to know, this is what I've learned too, and I'm going to give you something rare that's going to make you feel better about that, because it seems like you wish you would have held on to him, even if he plays this year or not. Everything that you did this year got you into the third place spot. Everything that you did got you here. So don't look at the shoulda, coulda, wouldas, and would have been, and this and that and all that. You are here. You're here with the winners of the league. You have reimagined your team. It is, yes, maybe this you don't have the QB depth that you wanted, or this. You got Love, you got Herbert. You are here. And that's what I hang my hat on at night. When I know that I gave away TJ Hawkinson.
God, stop talking about how you gave every team. Okay, you won so much stuff.
Like a first round pick, and he gave me a first round pick and Travis Kelce, and I gave him James Cook and TJ Hawkinson. Right now, I'm kicking myself on the tight end part because I think Travis Kelce's going to retire.
Oh yeah, 100%. He's got a billionaire girlfriend.
And now I wish I had Hawkinson. I wish I not had done that trade. However, I'm sitting at a bye. And quiet as it's kept, Travis Kelce is still, per average game, number one tight end in the league. Hawk is 2, Porter's 3, Laporta. But everything that I've done, every decision that I've made, good or bad, has got me here. And you have done the same thing. So don't worry. When Rodgers gets healthy and they add another offensive lineman or 2 next year, before the draft, we can talk. Or after the draft, we can talk. We can always talk.
Aaron Rodgers will never be healthy. He's going to come back this year. He's going to injure himself again. He's going to retire. Or he's going to come back next year, injure himself again, and retire. The Jets are not going to be able to depend on Aaron Rodgers. I am telling you now.
I think that there is some validity in what you're saying due to Rodgers' age, but what I will also say is in 39 years, like LeBron, Aaron Rodgers has never had major injuries like that. The ayahuasca, the fucking retreat. This guy's the holistic. He is in tune with his mind, body, spirit, and soul, and he plays through injuries. And so I agree with you that if it's the same offensive line that the Jets have this year, Aaron Rodgers is in trouble. But the guy is a top 5 quarterback of all time, in my opinion. The thrower of the ball, Garrett Wilson, even Alan Lazard's and your Tyler Conklin's and your Randall Cobb's and your fucking, Breece Hall, all those guys are going to be great. Plus, he's just a smart, great, amazing quarterback. And if he gets hurt again, I get that. But I also think that Robert Saleh and that team, they're not going to be in the same position again. Meaning the backup quarterback is going to be like a Marcus Mariota or a Sam Darnold. They're going to get somebody.
I hope not. Poor guys.
They're better than Zach Wilson and fucking Tim Boyle, who they just cut. They're going to have a backup QB.
Tim Boyle. Oh, poor guy.
They're going to pay somebody like $9 million a year to be the backup QB who was once a starter before. I mean, we could see, dude, if I'm the Jets, go get you Justin Fields and get 1 or 2 more years of Rodgers or whatever. Like they're going to get a better backup QB. They're going to redo their QB room just like the Niners did. When we were down to Christian McCaffrey as our QB against the Eagles last year, I honestly think that they're going to learn from that, and they're going to have 3 guys on their roster, somebody that can be a Jake Browning or somebody that could be a Gardner Minshew or somebody that could be a, whoever. they're not going to be left with Zach Wilson if Rodgers goes down again. And you know.
So I told you that was my last question, but here's a fun thing to consider about the Jets. September, the Jets played the Bills and they beat them with Zach Wilson. And then they sat Zach Wilson and got destroyed by the Bills in November. And do you think that the Jets can beat the Bills with Zach Wilson?
Yes. The answer is yes. And I would love to see the spread of that game, the line. I want to see what points the Bills are getting. The defense of the Jets is 100% legit. Zach Wilson is the best person that knows the system of the Jets over Tim Boyle and Ryan Rippin, Brett Rippin farts, and Tim Boyle, whatever. Zach Wilson's going to make mistakes. He's going to take sacks. He's going to throw interceptions. However, looking at Buffalo and what's going on with Buffalo and how decimated their defense has been, and the fact of the turmoil that's going on between Stephon Diggs and whatever, I 100% think the Jets can beat the Bills with Zach Wilson. It'll be
so they're playing the Texans. They're playing the Texans this week, and the Texans' defense is again middle of the pack. They're like 18th or 19th defense rank, depending on ESPN versus whatever. And then the Texans can put up points, but CJ Stroud lost Tank Dell. He's still got Noah Brown, and he's proven that he can utilize Noah Brown.
Dalton Schultz is going to be there either. It's only going to be Nico Collins and Noah Brown. Like that's and Robert Woods. Like that's really all they got.
So if you've got that and you got the Jets defense, which is fucking stout, like amazing defense this year against Houston, and everybody's going to overestimate Houston and underestimate the Jets. I think this is my upset of the week is the Jets beating the Houston this week.
So you think the Jets can beat the is it in Houston or is
the injury prone Houston Texans this week? I have no idea. Let me check.
That's important. I would think, is it in New Jersey or is it in Houston?
Oh gosh, I'll have to check. I'm not fast enough typing.
No, you know what? Irregardless, and I know that's not a word.
Regardless.
I'll say irregardless because, my skin color is ignorant. So based on...
It's at MetLife.
Uh-oh. Upset alert. Upset alert. Upset alert. Upset alert. Zach Wilson has been beat on. He's the redheaded stepchild. Zach Wilson has got something to prove. I think maybe, and it's not Zach, it should be the game plan. Like Dalvin Cook, you know what? Breece Hall may not play. He sat out another. It's a tough one. It's a tough one. If Breece Hall plays, I think the Jets can win. If Breece Hall doesn't play, I don't like Dalvin Cook and Israel Abandakana don't want none because you got Buns Hunt, whatever his name is. They get Alan Lazard, like, no. I mean, it's it's difficult. You know what? I'm changing my mind. Houston. D'Amico Ryans, Houston. Derek.
So you're doing a game pick and you're picking Houston. I am picking a upset of the week and I'm picking the Jets over Houston.
I'm gonna go Houston. Yeah. I'm sorry. Now, are you saying in week 15 it's the Bills? The Jets?
No, I'm talking about. No. I think they played them twice already this year. I thought it was telling that it's the Bills, the freaking Bills, and Zach Wilson played and they whooped on them, and then he didn't, and the Bills whooped on them. So
the Bills are not who we thought they were this year, though. They're just not. They're not.
They really aren't. All right, hey Dante. Been a pleasure.
It's been a pleasure, and it's been a while. Do you have your life alert bracelet? Is it on? Are you good?
Am I allowed to say this out loud? I don't know if I'm allowed to say this on recording.
There's too many people that don't know us the way that we know each other, so let's not. But no, great vid. We'll post it soon. Love you guys. We'll do another one. We'll do some more because it's getting hot right now. It's getting good with playoffs, championship games, divisional rounds. So I think if we can ever get Kyle to stop being a Mexican and working 18 hours a day, then we'll have him come.
Yeah, he had to fix the restaurant roof this week.
He's fixing his neighbor's plumbing right now for $50. That's what he's doing. Hey, my toilet's clogged. Come over here, Rivera, and fix this. But anyway, it's been great. We love you guys. Great league, great first year. We're gonna finish it out strong. And yeah. All right. Stop this recording, Summer.
Bye.
Bye.